Hey, how's it going, guys, and welcome to a new video. This is Ryan, and today I will talking about one of the games I played in the recent first Transatlantic Professional Championship between the European professional team and the American professional team. This was the 8th game, and I was playing white. So a bit of context, during this game, the American team is down to the last player, which was me, and the European team had 2 players left. So these are knockout and stay format, so if you win, you get to keep playing, which means if I were to win this game, I would play another game against the last player. So I was playing white. Let's get right into it. We have this opening, the 3-4 is facing the start point, and we have this invasion. This is a pretty trendy opening these days, and we have extension. Except black made this jump, which is less popular. Typically, you see a lot of the knight's move, and then black plays a Kasumi, and then white could either invade, and this happened quite a few times in the recent years. And then you would finish off the corners, and then it'll be a game of some influence and some territory. Okay, so in a game, black played this jump. Now this jump works when white doesn't have the ladder, because if white pushes and cuts, then this will revert back to the other Joseki, and then black would defend this corner. White obviously can't cut on the inside because the stone can't be laddered right now, and then if white has to extend, then the fight isn't very good. So if white tenuki, then black can protect here. And the deal with this is that this is slightly better than this shape. It's just slightly better. So in the game, I decided to approach this, which is normal. Typically, you want to approach the 3-4 points. You don't want them to enclose. So black answered, because if black plays this side, then obviously the pressing down will reduce the efficiency of this move. So black doesn't really want this flat area, and white can develop on both sides. So normal for black to answer. And then in this case, I didn't really want to play this, because after black comes back, then this side is going to be a bit better, because the shape is a bit stronger. So I didn't really want that, and so in the game I decided to play this extension. So if black extends, then white could then push and cut. Then black has to connect, and then this shape isn't very ideal for black, because then after white tenukis, then this Atari later is kind of too close to the Kosumi shape on the right. So black doesn't really want to choose that. So black played the Kosumi, and I didn't really want to play this, because I was kind of afraid of black choosing this variation. On this side is the distance here is pretty good, and locally it's an even result. So I decided to play this move, because I thought it was it's a pretty big move to limit this side. And then this move kind of surprised me. Usually I think black wants to play faster rather than split the side. So, and I expected my opponent to be more fighting style. So this move kind of surprised me, and then I just invaded, and then play the knights with any pin suit. So these are pretty pretty normal moves. We're just kind of just laying out the opening, putting off the game till mid-game. So this is another way to settle. This attachment is actually pretty uncomfortable for white because white now has a wall that's kind of too close to other stones. So there are two walls, and the space between them is a bit close. But I mean, this is pretty normal because I wanted the corner, so it's still a pretty 50-50 game. And then this jump, I think I expected this move because after the jump, this is still pretty far away. Oh, and this jump would capture the corner a bit better. But I guess this is just purely preference, and then the Kosumi, and then block attach. Because if block Tanuki here, then white would jump. And because this is still pretty far away, the block, after the jump, block might have to protect. And this exchange would make this side too narrow. And this stone isn't completely dead, so if white were able to get some exchange like this, then I wouldn't be too shy of just attaching and making this group alive. So this is a very big move in terms of keeping this big, keeping this moil. So another pretty solid variation there. And then the pincer. Now this move surprised me. I think black should just come back here and protect, and keep developing this moil, because obviously without this move, invasion would be pretty quick. And also, it's unclear what block can benefit from this side. I mean, in terms of capturing this stone, it still has a lot of freedom. So it's not dead yet, and this side just doesn't seem like the biggest right now. So I was pretty happy seeing that move. I had to exchange this because if black can just capture this, so that was a necessary exchange. And then here, I actually thought quite a bit for this move. So at this point, we have some moils. Really, it's just a question of how many points this moil will turn into. And white has quite a bit of territory on the board already. So white definitely needs to reduce somehow. It's just the question is how. And I didn't want to hurt this part too much in the beginning, because of course this stone still has quite a bit of freedom. And the meaning of this move is if black protects here, then one can attach and get this turn, and then this stone would be in relatively good position. So in the game, black answered. I exchanged this because in the future black might use another method to kill, for example this move, and when the outside is relatively empty first, black can't play such an aggressive move. So this is still expected, and then I wanted to attack this a bit more. I expected black to do something like that, and then I was planning on either defending the corner or this move. I was planning on another reduction move afterwards. And I thought this exchange was pretty normal because black doesn't really want to get surrounded, and there isn't really a necessary move right now. So there's no really clear big move on the board. So I wanted to get this exchange in, but to my surprise, black actually played the nice move. So this really surprised me because this doesn't seem too important yet, right? Because if black were to cut, there's still invasion on the red side, and there's a really bad agi here as well. So it's not an ideal move. And also right now, if white just attaches in Hane, I'm not sure what black is going to do, because if black Ataris on this side, then white would be able to easily settle. And if black does that, then after the capture, this group is already alive. So this move really isn't unclear. So the value of it isn't very unclear. So in the game, I just capped this group, and at this point I felt pretty happy, right? He's gonna have to somehow live this. There's no clear way of escape. So if black had to live, then if white would at least have some center stones, and this would really help, and even potentially develop something in the center. Who knows, right? So all these are, the value of these stones are relatively high, and black lives, then it also helps solidify the corner. So that was kind of my thinking there, playing this move. And this attachment is I guess it was expected, because there's not really a good way to jump out, and this would be too dangerous for black. So in the game, black played the attachment. So this attachment is very risky, right? It's because it helps white quite a bit, and it's unclear what black can get from escaping this group out. So if black were to just live, then of course white would be very happy, and even this, there will be a lot of sente moves, and black is very, very cramped in there. So maybe even exchange this, and that was basically white's goal. And you can see this wall is too good for white, so definitely not an option there. So in the game, black decided to Hane and attach in Hane. But however, this will get cut, and after cutting, we can see that this group is now kind of floating, while the inner group isn't alive yet. So at this point, this game is already starting to look good for white, and I think black should have tarried first, and then played a move on the outside, because getting this exchange also felt pretty good for white. So after this, white has a bit of a decision to make. Now, if white connects, which is what white should have done, locally, this group can live. But after connecting, if white connected here, then black can come out. So actually in the game, you can see that the result is actually a bit worse for white, because after making some exchanges when black lived, the corner is smaller than before. So I'm not sure what he was doing here. This is not a good exchange, but here I'm not sure why I didn't connect first. Now at this point I just felt so ahead in this game that I thought whatever I played, it didn't really matter too much, and that's exactly the thinking that you shouldn't have during a game. So I was thinking maybe he could take, but obviously he can't, because if I just simply play something like this, even if he can do anything, the upper group will be hurt quite a bit. So there was nothing I should be afraid of at that point. So I should have just connected here, and then connected there. So you can see after this, white solidify the upper side, 2 eyes here, and this group is kind of just floating there. So this is obviously a good result for white. And even in the game, this is a similar result, right? After white getting the first move, white is free to attack this group, and in the process, connect over to this middle stone. And we can see now if white develops everything, black's only going to have this side. I mean, this is like the no territory. So it's like 10, 15, 16, 20, 26, 30, and then this side. So if white gets Sente, makes this group alive, then, I mean, there's like 10 points here. Right? White has a lot of territory right now. We have 10, 11, 12, 13, and there's 15 here, so that's almost 30 already, and we have, I can at least count up this line, which makes it 14. So that's like 45, 50 points, and in the center it's pretty much similar, right? At this rate, white's going to be ahead on the board. So at this point, white is pretty comfortable. And then knight's move is still good. Catch and cut. Black wanted to create some weaknesses in white's shape, so white isn't too comfortable in the attacks, which is the original meaning of this stone, but it also gave white quite a bit of territory in the middle. So then I decided to attack. So if white jumped, this will allow black to connect back. And although there's this influence here, because black has these stones, it's not immediately too useful. For example, if white were to cut this, and black would just push this over and capture, this is still a little too empty, and this would be a bit too narrow at the moment. So, in the game, I wanted kind of a new direction. I wanted to connect through this way, which would further reduce the right side, and still keep this a weak group. So that was kind of my train of thought there. Dash, tar, and extend, these are all no problem. So, white is doing okay during this time, and then attach and cut. So, again, black is really uncomfortable still, because if black hanes, then white could hane back. So really, this hane is really the only way to go. If black plays too defensively and white comes back, then this group really is just so weak, and black doesn't have enough points. So the hane here is necessary, and then we have cut and extend, and then this attachment is a Tsuji without exchanging this first, because right now black cannot respond here immediately, because then white will Atari this way and push through. And this is, the two stones are big, but this side is garbage now, so that's not a possibility. And black can't respond here either, because there's actually this clamp. If white connects, then white could comfortably live this group. But if white descends, obviously the descend wouldn't work, because then, of course, black would lose too much on the outside. And I think white can just quite comfortably just maybe attach and just escape. And since white has a lot of territory, black wouldn't have enough anyway. So, yeah, that was the meaning of the attachment. So black has to play the strongest move, and then this was all pretty required. And then I think this move was the start of white's show. I mean, this is not a bad move, but it was not necessary. And at this point, white is so ahead, because first of all, black hasn't captured this yet. There's a cut here, but there's an attaching cut, so the aji here is really bad. And we can see black only has 13, 14 points, and then maybe a bit more here, but that's it. And white just has so much right at the moment, and at any time, if white just comes back here, there's also a cut here. So if we look at something like this, then black really has no value here. So an extension isn't too bad, but it kind of just it kind of led me in the wrong path, and I think I mean, yeah, I'm not sure. I think what would be a lot simpler is if I just make this Atari and just push through and block and make this group alive. So if black tanukis, then I'll just make this alive and then just push this into endgame. So in the actual game, I was trying to find a way to keep fighting, and that's no problem. But that's, you know, it just turned out to be too many variations, and it's nothing bad, but maybe the tactic should have been changed. And then black will turn, and then there's a Tsuji here that will capture these two stones, and after that, the game is looking really good for white. And then white comes back to jump, and then you guys can probably tell about the tone of my voice. I really didn't want to talk about this game. I mean, it's just something that, you know, just really disappointing things happen afterwards. So Kasumi, it's all pretty normal. And then, yeah, of course, white should have exchanged this earlier, but, and then, these are all pretty normal moves until here. I have no idea why I didn't capture. So I looked at this ko earlier, and it felt a little annoying, but obviously if black Atari at some point, white wouldn't respond. So if it's like that, all white has to do is connect everything back, and black has no territory. So I guess it's a brain fart moment. My reasoning here was I thought capturing was big because of this side. If it's something like this, then black could cut. But of course, there's no actual worry, because white can just reduce, and this side isn't very strong because white's super strong. Everything is alive, and there's no weaknesses at all. And this is a very difficult endgame for black. So there's no issues with anything. And if black obviously can't gameplay there yet, because black wouldn't be able to get that exchange. It's too small at the moment. And then, yeah, this is the start to some horrible endgame play. I mean, look at this trade. It's connecting is, so you can see there's 4 points here already. If we see it like this, then black has already gained 11 points. So that's 14. So that's 15 points already. Not to mention, after capturing, white could capture and connect everything back. So I had to do with the thickness here. And on top of that, 15 points might sound a lot, but it's not the biggest. But look what happens after. After the push, we got this move. Black can't block because then white could push through. So black has to connect and do this. And this is just such a big Sente endgame, which would be pretty much white would get no matter what. Black wouldn't be able to have time to spend another move here. But I mean, just look at this. This is crazy. If this was a Sente move, then you would get at least 3 points, and then so it's at least like 7 points Sente, right? So now we add that. It's like after capturing, this is white just gave black like 22 points without gaining anything major here, right? Black can still turn, right? So there's nothing other than just the 2 points here, which is just it's crazy. I mean, any player given this situation would just capture, right? What do you need to think about? And in the game, I didn't, because I thought of this cut, and I wanted to find a way to deal with it. But I mean, 22 points for 2, and nothing can be done here. I mean, it's just anyone in their right mind shouldn't be making this move. And then I did. And even after this move, it turns out that it's not even too bad for white. So black connected, and then white took some Sente moves, and then Atari. Atari is a very big move because capturing is also Sente. So that was the biggest end game at that time. This was such an unnecessary exchange. I didn't need to Kosumi first. I should have just captured directly. And if I captured directly, this is kind of uncomfortable for black, because if black connects, then later there's this attachment, and if black Ataris, then there's going to be issues. So black actually can't connect there. If black connects, then the Kosumi would work. So I should have captured directly and then captured, and then it would have been something like this. So still, this is going to be a better result than in a game. And then, right, I just exchanged everything. Because at this point, I still felt that the game was pretty good. Although at this point, it was already super close. Because after giving up 20 points territory, white didn't gain anything here other than reduce this side. So this game is already super close right now. But arguably, it's still anyone's game. And then black made a mistake here. This jump doesn't work because because of this cut. I think black should have just extended, and then white would attach, and then do something else. I guess maybe extend. I felt extending was also very big because in the game white got this Atari. Because after this exchange, black lost quite a bit of points here. So black went back and took that, and this is really this is the dumbest thing ever. Is right now. At this point, you know, we can just count. I mean, it's so simple right now. So we've got 10. 20, 30, 40, 40, this is, so like 40, 40, 43, 16 here. I'll just count no points on the left side. That's 60, and then 60, maybe 61 or 62. So how many points is black? So it's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, 20, 21. Okay, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 53, 54, 55, 56, 66, 67. And that's it. So white had 63, 64. So it's like 3 points. There's about a 3-point lead only. And at this point, there's nothing big end games anymore, right? That's it. So yeah, I mean that's it, right? The game's over. And even after this big mistake, white kind of clenched it back, and black lost a little points here, and then yeah, that should have been it. Right? All white needs to do was exchange that, connect, or anything, any move, or even go back here. Then it's still a game that's finished. But white played here, so this move actually doesn't have any points because black can't actually go in because Kosumi white will just block. There's a cut, so there's nothing to do here, right? And the attachment doesn't work because the push is sente. Sorry. What was I? Oh yeah, so there's a wedge here, and it's not worth anything to do that if the center gets captured, and if black Qataris, white will connect, and then this push wouldn't work because then there's a cut on this side, so there's really nothing black can do. So it's something like that, right? And pushing is literally 0 points, right? If white pushes first, black can hane and extend, and after black connects back, it's exactly the same amount of points. So what is this even doing? I have no idea what that's doing. And then, so I guess this is the last chance. White should Kosumi. Sorry, not Kosumi, the turn here. So if this group is still alive, then but probably this wouldn't work. Yeah, but yeah, maybe Kosumi wouldn't work either. Yeah, so at this point it's already done because this is just some end game, but really this Atari is too severe. As you can see, before, so I'll just show you what happens after the Atari, and then white can't connect now because now this will get cut, and that's just game over. The thing is, this push is good, but it's only some points, and this can't die as for white. So white really needs to do that first. And I mean, yeah, because here right now we're in the endgame, and if black takes some endgame, this is sente too many points. So, and also not to mention the aji, right? So there's going to be a lot of aji as well. So this is pretty much sente, but it's not an immediate sente. But I don't know why I didn't exchange it. But because now, obviously, white doesn't have enough time to connect. So now you can kind of see the difference, because after this, black gained Sente 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's like Sente 5 points. And in a time like this, getting Sente 5 points would pretty much mean you win the game, right? And yeah, after this, black comes back, and the only biggest endgame is this side. And so here I made a slight mistake, but at this point it didn't really matter. I should have descended. And taken this. But I mean, at this at this point it didn't matter too much anymore. And then I think after this, if white descended, I went through the game and black would have won by half a point. But yeah, at this point, at the end, there's no chance. And during the small end game, white lost a few points also. So I think if white connected, it would have been 1.5, not 3.5. But nevertheless, it's black would have won. But yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable just how bad that was. Any pro shouldn't have played any of this, and I'm sure some of you who had this game probably would have won, and I didn't, which is just so disappointing. And I mean, after the game, I was just kind of sitting there, and my proctor was wanting to leave, but he didn't know how to talk to me, and you know, just things like that was just so disappointing. Shouldn't have happened, and don't know why it did. And I really didn't want to go over this game because it was pretty much a game in white's favor for the whole game, and then just such an obvious move. Here, white's probably ahead by 10 points, and you know, yeah. And then a close game, but still white's slightly ahead until white's ahead, and then bam, a move that doesn't gain any points. That's not immediate Sente. And yeah, that's pretty much the story. Pretty good opening, good mid game, and then that happened. Yeah. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed my side of the story for this game, and it was a sad result. Not because we lost. I mean, winning and losing would have been similar. I mean, we're pretty similar strength, I believe. But really, just how this game was lost was just so disappointing for me as a player. And yeah, it's definitely something worth reviewing for me, and something worth self-improving, especially near the end here, how obvious and dumb those mistakes were. Alright, enough chatting now. I think, yeah, I should be signing off. I'm definitely hoping I'll play well in the future, but I mean, in terms of, you know, the video, I think there's some of you have been suggesting me just doing some reviews of some tournament or series games that I played. So stay tuned for more. And so if you liked the video, make sure you comment, rate, subscribe, and I will see you next time.